Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another field strip video. And in today's field strip we're going to be taking apart for cleaning and maintenance the Ruger 1022 Takedown, as well as disassembling the Ruger Silent-SR integrity suppressed barrel. We'll start by dropping the magazine, ensuring that there is no ammunition in it. Then we will safety check the firearm, visually inspect the chamber. Looks like we are good. The first thing we're going to do is remove the barrel assembly. We're going to pull back on the charging handle just a little bit, push the lever on the bottom of the handguard towards the front of the rifle, and then simply rotate the barrel assembly off and out. Now we're going to remove the receiver from the stock. If you turn it over, there's a screw on the bottom. We will need to loosen this up and take it out. These threads can be a little bit long, so you might have to unscrew it for a little bit and also pull it out. And it does come all the way out of the stock. And then we're going to take our safety lever and put it about halfway between on and off, and that will allow it to clear the stock, and then the receiver simply comes out of the stock. Now the next thing we need to do is take the trigger pack off of the receiver. I'll lay it here on this towel. You might need a punch and a hammer. Sometimes these pins come out easy, sometimes they do not. So we'll go ahead and start them. And once they're out partially, sometimes you can simply push them out with the punch like I can on the back, or pull them out with my fingers. You do not have to worry about which one goes in the front or the back. They're exactly the same pin for both. Once they're out, you can remove the trigger pack from the receiver. Now the next thing we need to do is remove the bolt from the receiver. There is a larger pin here in the back. We can simply push this out, and once again, sometimes it comes out easy, sometimes it doesn't. And once it gets started, it simply falls right out. Now in order to get the bolt out, we're going to pull the bolt back towards the rear of the receiver, and then we were going to lift up on the front of the bolt, and it should simply pop right out. There's our bolt. And then the charging handle comes right out of the ejection port, and it is one unit. And that is our completely field stripped Ruger 1022 receiver. Now let's work on the barrel assemblies. We'll start with the standard barrel assembly first. There is a screw on the bottom of the handguard. Sometimes these are captive, sometimes they are not. Let's go ahead and take this screw all the way out if I can. Then the handguard simply comes off the barrel, and if you want, you can take off the thread protector if your barrel has one. And that's all you need to do for that barrel assembly. Now let's take apart the Silent-SR barrel, and we're going to take the handguard off as well. Comes off in exactly the same procedure. This handguard is a little bit shorter than the standard one, so you can't get them mixed up. Take out the screw, handguard comes off. Now there is another screw at the front of the suppressor. So we're going to use that same Allen wrench, and we are going to loosen this up. Now according to Ruger's website and the video where they show how to take this apart, this is going to be a little bit different, because for me, they said this should only come out to a certain part and then you can pull the whole baffle stack out. However, this one will completely unscrew. So I found what I have to do is just pull it out a little bit where it's catching, as you can see. And sometimes you might have to go to the rear of the silencer, and you're going to use that punch. You might have to push it forward or gently tap it out. So I'll make sure this is coming out far enough. And now I will tap it out here from the rear, and now I can get the baffle stack out of the suppressor part of the barrel. And as you can see, it is all self-contained. They say you do not have to clean the inside, but I do like to wipe it down. Now, in order to get these baffles apart, all you have to do is take out the screw, and we'll go ahead and continue to unscrew this all the way. And once it gets past a certain point, we can remove the whole screw. And I have already cleaned this silencer, so you might have to work about getting around all of the carbon and the lead buildup. Then once that is apart, you can take off the end cap, and each one of these baffles simply comes apart. You might have to pry on these if you have been shooting this silencer a lot, because you are going to have a lot of buildup, and Ruger does a really good job of building this with tight tolerances. So each one of these baffles comes apart. They are made of steel, so you can put them into a sonic cleaner. The order does not matter. And then the last one is the blast baffle, and that is it. So that is a completely field stripped Ruger 1022 Takedown with the Silent-SR integrally suppressed barrel. So let me go ahead and wipe this down, put a little bit of oil on it, and let's put it back together. So we got this rifle cleaned up, wiped down, oiled, and ready to go back together. So let's start with the standard barrel assembly first. As I mentioned, the handguard for the standard assembly is longer than the one for the integrally suppressed one. We'll go ahead and put that on, make sure everything is flush, grab one of these screws and screw it down. If everything is lined up like it should, you can probably finger tighten it and then get the Allen wrench out and tighten it down. This does not have to be torqued down very tight at all. Then we'll take the thread protector and put that on the end. And our standard barrel assembly is back together. Now let's take a look at the Silent-SR. And we will start by building the baffle stack. You want to start from the rear with the blast baffle. You have a larger hole, that's the one where the projectile will go through. The bottom one is actually threaded, and that is where that screw is going to go through. We will now build our baffle stack. It does not matter which order these go in. In fact, some people recommend that after every cleaning, you rotate them. And so the side where the projectile will go through is the slanted one. And you cannot mix this up. So if you go in this direction, the baffles will not click together. So you can't mess it up. It's kind of idiot proof. And then you simply build your baffle stack. Then we're going to take our end cap. It's also idiot proof. It will only go one way. Then we can slide this in to the barrel assembly. We'll take our screw, should go in all the way. Then get out your Allen wrench and simply tighten that down. And like the handguard, you do not have to over tighten this. Just make it nice and snug, and that's fine. Then we'll take our handguard for this particular barrel and install it just like the standard one. Make sure everything's lined up. Start the screw. Use the same Allen wrench and tighten that down. So now we have our barrel assemblies back together. So now we're going to put our bolt into the receiver, and you want to make sure that you put in the charging handle first, and you'll notice the charging handle is shaped a very specific way. We have a little indentation on this side, and that is going to correspond to this little cutout where you have the firing pin. So essentially when it's in the receiver, it's going to fit like that. So we'll first insert the charging handle. The back of the spring is going to go into a little slot right there. And then in order to compress this, you might have to take your finger, put it into the receiver and push down it towards the center. If you just use the charging handle in this way, it puts pressure on one side and it will not completely close. So this is the way you might have to depress that charging handle. Pull it all the way back. Then we're going to take our bolt and we're going to do the opposite of taking it out, put it in at an angle, and you might need to kind of find where this is going to snap in. This can be just a little bit tricky from time to time. Sometimes they go in easy, sometimes they're more difficult. And then once everything lines up, snaps in, and then you can release the pressure, and now your bolt is in the receiver. Now we're going to get our larger pin, which is the bolt pin, and install that. You might need a hammer for it to go all the way in. Sometimes it doesn't line up. That's just the nature of these Ruger pins. And that's all the way in now. Now let's get our trigger group. You got to make sure that the ejector is in the forward position. This can move and it goes into a little slot. Then we can put that onto the receiver, make sure those holes line up, and then we can put these pins through. You're supposed to be able to put them through either way, but I find they're always a little bit easier coming in from the right side. Get them started, and then I'll just take the hammer and just gently tap them in until they're flush with the receiver. And now that's back together. Now the next thing to do is to take our safety, remember to put it at that halfway position, and now we're going to put the receiver into the stock. It goes all the way down, and when everything is lined up, we can put the screw back in. Then we'll grab one of our barrel assemblies. In this case, we'll do the Silent-SR. We can rotate it on. It snaps into place. Then we can reinsert the magazine. And there we go. And that is a completely field stripped Ruger 1022 Takedown with the Silent-SR integrally suppressed barrel assembly. So I hope this video helps somebody in the future. So let me know if you have any questions, and as always, thanks for watching.